Huh?
It happens the same way every time. The day is over, the lights are off, your body is horizontal and your eyes are closed, and every condition for sleep is present. And then, without warning, your brain turns on. Not gently, not gradually. It turns on like a switch being thrown in a dark room. Suddenly you are thinking about something you said 3 years ago. Suddenly you are running through a conversation that hasn't happened yet. Suddenly every unresolved thing in your life is lined up and demanding to be processed right now at 11 p.m. in the dark, when there's absolutely nothing you can do about any of it. You are not broken. You are not anxious in a clinical sense. You are not doing something wrong. You are doing something ancient. The nighttime mind, that restless, associative, looping, evaluating engine that activates the moment external demands disappear, is not a malfunction. It is one of the most precisely functional systems in the human brain, doing exactly what it was designed to do, at exactly the time it was designed to do it. Understanding why your brain won't let you sleep might be the most clarifying thing you learn about yourself this year. Let's start with what actually happens when the world goes quiet. During the day, your brain operates in a mode that neuroscientists call the task-positive network. When you are working, navigating, responding, deciding, this network is active. It is goal-oriented, externally focused, and consuming most of your brain's available attention. While it is running, something else is suppressed, a network that only fully activates when the task-positive network goes quiet. That something else is what neuroscientist Marcus Rachel identified in 2001 as the default mode network, and what he found when he mapped it changed the way scientists understood the resting brain entirely. The default mode network is not your brain doing nothing. It is your brain doing something specific, something it has been doing for a very long time. When external demands drop away, or busts, when the lights go out and the room goes quiet and the day's tasks are finished, the default mode network activates. And what it does is this. It begins to process the social and emotional unfinished business of your life. Who said something confusing? Who looked at you differently than usual? What you should have said in that meeting? Whether that relationship is going in the right direction. Whether the decision you made 3 weeks ago was the right one. Whether you are safe. Whether you are accepted. Whether you are enough. This is not random. This is a system. Psychologist Matthew Walker, who has spent his career studying the relationship between sleep and the brain, describes the period just before sleep as one of the most emotionally active phases of the human day. The brain, freed from the demands of external tasks, turns inward and begins a process he calls emotional recalibration. A systematic review and reweighting of social and emotional experiences, particularly those that remain unresolved. The brain is not torturing you at night. It is doing something it cannot do during the day. It is trying to finish its work. Now consider why this would have mattered for your ancestors. In the environment your brain was built for, the hours between sunset and sleep were not wasted hours. They were, according to anthropologist Polly Wessner's research on the Huansi, people of the Kalahari, the most socially important hours of the day. Around the fire, in the reduced light, with the physical demands of survival temporarily suspended, your ancestors did something your brain is still trying to replicate every night. They processed their social world out loud. Who was trustworthy? Who had behaved unexpectedly? Who was forming alliances? Who was isolating? Who needed to be watched? Who was struggling? The firelight conversation was not idle chat. It was a collective social audit, a nightly process of evaluating relationships, resolving tensions, and establishing the group's understanding of its own internal landscape. Your brain, alone in the dark at 11 p.m., is trying to do the same thing. It just doesn't have the fire. It doesn't have the group. It doesn't have the social resolution that conversation provides. So it loops. This is the mechanism behind what sleep researchers call pre-sleep cognitive arousal. The brain is not generating anxiety randomly. It is activating a review process that, in the ancestral environment, would have been completed through social interaction. In the modern environment, that interaction doesn't happen. The review begins, finds no resolution, and continues. And continues. And continues. The thoughts themselves follow a predictable pattern. Psychologist Borkovich, who spent decades researching worry, found that nighttime rumination clusters almost exclusively around 4 themes: social evaluation, unresolved relationships, uncertain future outcomes, and the fear of missing or having missed something important. Every single one of these themes maps directly onto an ancestral survival priority: social evaluation. Am I still accepted by the group? Unresolved relationships? Is someone in my environment a threat or an ally? Uncertain future. What dangers might tomorrow bring? Fear of missing something. What have I failed to notice that could harm me? Your brain is not being irrational at night. It is being precisely rational in a framework that no longer matches the world you are actually living in. There's another layer to this. The circadian timing of the nighttime mind is not accidental. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, found that the brain's emotional processing systems, particularly the amygdala, the region that flags social and existential threats, become measurably more reactive in the hours before sleep, not because something has changed in your environment, because your brain has entered a phase of heightened social and emotional sensitivity that was timed across millions of years of evolution to coincide with the fireside review period. You don't start thinking harder at night because the problems get worse. You start thinking harder at night because your brain becomes more sensitive. It is tuning itself for the processing work it was designed to perform. And then there's the question of darkness itself. For nearly all of human evolutionary history, darkness meant vulnerability. It meant reduced sensory range. It meant predators moved more freely. It meant the social group was the only protection available. Russell Foster, a circadian neuroscientist at the University of Oxford, has documented the way the human nervous system responds to the onset of darkness, which, with a measurable increase in alertness, not drowsiness, before the biological sleep signal properly takes hold. Then the nervous system uses the transition into darkness as a trigger to heighten threat monitoring, not to relax it. So at the exact moment you want to turn off, your brain is doing three things simultaneously: activating the default mode network's social review, increasing emotional and threat sensitivity through the amygdala, and heightening general alertness in response to darkness. All three systems are ancient. All three are doing exactly what they were designed to do. The result in a modern bedroom with no fire and no social resolution and no predators is a mind that cannot find the off switch because the off switch was never the point. The point was processing. The point was reviewing. The point was staying alert to the social and physical landscape until the group fell quiet together. You don't fall asleep alone in the ancestral brains model. You fall asleep as part of a group, in the warmth and sound of others, after the night's social audit has run its course and found its conclusions. Modern sleep is trying to happen inside a container the brain was not designed for. So what do you do with this? The research points consistently in one direction. The nighttime mind responds not to suppression, but to resolution. Matthew Walker's work, alongside research by psychologist James Pennebaker, shows that the brain's pre-sleep rumination cycle can be significantly shortened, not by trying to stop thinking, but by externalizing the thinking before it begins. Writing down unresolved concerns before sleep, not to solve them, but simply to acknowledge them as recorded and waiting, reduces pre-sleep cognitive arousal measurably. The brain, it appears, can accept a placeholder. It doesn't need the resolution. It needs to know the review has been received. Pennebaker's research on expressive writing found that people who spent 15 minutes before sleep writing about whatever was unresolved in their emotional life fell asleep faster, slept more deeply, and reported less rumination than control groups. Not because the problems were solved, because the brain's review system had been given a proxy for the social processing it was looking for. The firelight conversation, replicated on paper. Your brain at night is not your enemy. It is not broken. It is not generating anxiety out of nowhere. It is a social processing engine, running a nightly audit that was never meant to happen in silence and isolation. It was meant to happen in the presence of others, out loud, by the light of something warm. The next time you lie in the dark and your mind refuses to stop, understand what is actually happening. Your brain is calling the meeting it was built to call. It is reviewing the people, the risks, and the unfinished business of your life with the same systematic urgency it applied to those same questions 10,000 years ago around a fire in the dark. It hasn't stopped because it was never designed to stop alone. Give it something to work with. Write it down. Say it out loud. Find your fire. And then, when the review is done, sleep will come the way it always did. Not as an escape from the night, but as the natural end of it.
See you next time.